Supposing one of your colleagues in project office said to you, "I don't really understand what this tolerance thing is all about." What will you tell them? Well, if you were to ask me, the first thing that I would say is that tolerance is a range. So if we took time and the end date of the project was, say, October, we could say, well, we'd expect the project to finish by at least, at the latest, the end of November, but perhaps we'd be happy with it if it was delivered any time during September as well. On cost, it will be plus or minus a percentage of the project budget, perhaps. The other thing that I would stress is that tolerance, in terms of tolerance rather, one tolerance pays for another. So if you're running out of time and you have some money left, you could spend some money to bring in more resources to accelerate the project. Alternatively, if you're running out of time and money, you could look at the scope tolerance and perhaps reduce the amount of work you were doing. Or invoke the quality tolerance and reduce the standard of some of the elements. So let's summarize the different types of tolerance. Time is plus or minus days, weeks or months. Cost tolerance, plus or minus a percentage on the project budget. In terms of scope, it's the difference between the essential elements and the desirable elements. Quality tolerance is much more difficult to define. In an engineering sense, if we were making a component, we may specify that its size is, say, 30 millimeters, plus or minus 1/100 of a millimeter. On the other hand, it could be a brochure, so we'd like to have the brochure in full colour, but if cost becomes an issue, we'll have it in black and white. Benefit tolerance relates to the project's business case and the range of benefits. So if you were thinking about a sales forecast, the project tolerance might say, okay, we want, let's say, 25% increase in sales. We don't expect to get any more than 30%, but we must get at least 15% increase in sales for the project to be viable. Risk tolerance, more difficult to define perhaps than some of the others. For example, if we were scoring our risks on a basis of, say, 1 to 25, we could say anything with a score of 18 or more needs to be escalated to the project board. Alternatively, we might say that if any risk occurs and it has an adverse impact on, say, customer reactions, something of that nature, then irrespective of its probability or the amount of impact, I want to know about it. Now let's just summarize the levels of tolerance then to finish off. We have project level tolerance set by the corporate body. The project board take that and divide it up amongst the stages, and the project manager takes the stage tolerance and allocates it amongst the work packages. And you had project tolerance available, you could say to the project manager, take a little bit more time or a little bit more money within our project tolerance and carry on with the stage and finish it within the revised tolerance. Alternatively, the project manager could have recommended a satisfactory course of action, but that needs an exception plan to be prepared and approved, and you could ask the project manager to go away and do that. If the exception report was perhaps in its early stages and there's some discussion going on, you could ask for some more information, perhaps about various options, to help you to decide with the project manager what to do next. If that deviation affected project tolerance, though, you'd have to refer this back to the corporate body, and in extreme cases, they may direct that the project is brought to a premature close.